Today, we celebrate the solemnity of the most holy body and blood of Christ, the gift of the Eucharist. But the gospel is not about the Last Supper. It's about the feeding of the 5,000. We can imagine the disciples' reaction when Jesus tells them, "Give them something to eat yourselves." What? Feed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish? The disciples react with a sense of scarcity, but Jesus responds with an attitude of abundance. Jesus' actions here, when he took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, blessed them, broke them, and gave them to the disciples to distribute, are a sign of what is to come. When at the Last Supper, he took bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to the disciples, saying, "This is my body, which will be given for you." Just as Jesus fed the 5,000, and all were satisfied, and there was plenty left over, Jesus feeds us with his body and blood, so that our hunger is satisfied, and we become the body of Christ in the world, sent to heal wounds, to welcome the stranger, to give comfort and hope. We might ask ourselves, how do I respond to this? Do I have an attitude of abundance in response to God's grace? Or, like the disciples, do I sometimes have an attitude of scarcity? Consider this question in light of the plight of refugees who flee oppression in their home country, yearning for freedom. They come here with nothing, having left home and possessions, neighborhood, and the life they knew. They now experience scarcity in all ways. And in comparison, we experience the abundant gifts of God's grace in our life, generally having everything we need. CCOP is sponsoring a refugee family, and they arrived this week. They're living with refugee friends in Oakland while we seek an apartment for them and while we orient them to the Bay Area. We continue to raise funds for them and seek the items they'll need for an apartment. Next week, we'll be collecting funds after all the masses. We know that together, we will transform their scarcity to abundance by the gifts of God's grace. I leave you now with 2 questions for next week. Christ feeds us with his body and blood that we might become his body of Christ in the world. How well am I responding to this call in my daily life? And Christ transforms our sense of scarcity with the abundance of his grace. How am I responding to share abundance with those who suffer in scarcity? Thank you.